So, let's get started. This is, I think, potentially my 10th annual Rohit's annual CES recap extravaganza. So thank you, everybody. So actually, I see a bunch of people here. How many people here have been to one of these before, if you want to raise your hand? All right, well, thank you for joining, and thank you to all the new people. Here's how it's going to work. You might not have time to write anything down because I'm going to go rapid, mega, ultra light speed through a lot of this, all of it almost. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take you through what CES is, what I see. The important thing to take away from this is that this is not an objective presentation. This is through my eyes, what I liked, what I disliked, and if you are looking for something objective, there's lots of wonderful stuff on Verge, TechCrunch, and all of that. That is not what this is. This is purely through Rohit's spirit, and so I hope you guys appreciate it. So, starting off, this year's theme is Futurama for a couple of reasons. One, they kind of hit the nail on the head with a lot of future predictions. Also, I've already used Archer, and I've already used Rick and Morty, so I'm running out of sci-fi cartoon shows. But anyway, let me tell you about CES and the show floor. It is huge. It's over 1 million square feet in Las Vegas from all the biggest and smallest and medium-sized tech manufacturers in the world. You know, people set up their own giant, wonderful cities outside of the convention center. They set up their own cities inside of the convention center. And by the way, I'm going to be talking about some of the winners throughout. I'm also going to have a bunch of get-rich-quick schemes through each section. So if you want to write down that, or I can talk to you after, great. Samsung, by the way, did a phenomenal job this year. And, you know, I think they are a competitor in many places, but I got to give credit where credit's due, and you'll see why. You know, it's people also going big, above, bombastic. Here is a 2-story NBA Jam arcade machine, and it was fully playable. You know, there's fashion runway shows from Canon where you can actually test their cameras and shoot the models. You know, Sony brought in the Ghostbusters cars so you can try out their videos, their cinematic video cameras. Honda set up a big event space. But I think what I love the most is actually the section that is apart from the big main convention center. That's called Eureka. That's where there's over 1,000 startups. And I pretty much walked by every single booth and talked to hundreds of them, and I'm going to bring some of their best. They're also split up into countries in many areas. France usually kills it every year, and they continue to do so this year. But this year, Taiwan showed up hard. And Seoul, and Korea in general, they probably brought it. They were probably, I think, they had the strongest national showing of the entire show this year, so congrats to them. And there's all sorts of booths. There's, you know, wonderful ways, like low-budget ways to bring you in. Do you like Paint? Yes, I love Paint, so I can play the demo. Wonderful. You know, when I'm walking around, it helps to try and have filters when I'm going to stop by. You know, this guy managed to, you know, have a quick way to get around between booths. You know, throughout the day, it gets exhausting. You know, some people kind of have to bring fruit. I also stop by booths with great names. This is Clayton Intergalactic. I also love to stop by areas that have wonderfully named products, like the Row Right and the Row Tree by Royo. I also then really think twice about stopping by booths that have bad signage, because how bad can the product be? Or booths with typos or missing words. Home is attractive than ever before. They paid money, had this printed in a major big booth. This, I was kind of curious about. It's like Lego for electronics, but it's not a toy. I didn't stop by because of the scale of the penny. I thought if they're lying about the penny size, they're going to be lying about everything else. Skip. I also skip things with buzzwords. Anything that has scalability, interoperability, I will skip. This had both of them. It also had blockchain. I skipped every single blockchain booth. I skipped the world's first AI art on the blockchain. Human or AI. Oh my God, buzzwords. Or crypto is the future, the world's first blockchain watch face market. Crypto is forever. Crypto watches. Skip, skip, skip. You do want to stop at bike and get massages every now and then because, you know, I was putting in 8.5 miles walking every single day. Yes, hi, great, wonderful, and there's all sorts of wonderful gimmicks and, you know, wacky waving inflatable arm tube people. But what it's really, really about is also not the parties, and there's some of them. Yeah, wonderful. Let me get to what you guys are really interested in. I'm going to start with probably the topic that people most associate CES. Big TVs, big screens. What's happening? Well, we have lots more buzzwords for you guys to start taking note of. You're going to see a lot of Dolby Vision Atmos. It's generally a 7.2 channel, meaning you have 7 speakers, 2 subwoofers. Home theater, you see it in a lot of theaters right now. That's becoming a lot more commonplace. You're going to start seeing Netflix calibrated mode. Sony debuted that this year. 8K. 8K is on top of everybody's mind. But you know what? It's actually, I was a bit cautious about it, but I mean, I think probably maybe half or more than half people here have a 4K TV. The thing is, there's so little 4K content out there. Why is everybody talking about 8K? Well, because actually they're starting to do a wonderful job of upscaling 1080p content that you're going to find on TV and turning that into 8K. The technology's progressed really, really far. Samsung had some nice stuff with their quantum AI chip. We're also starting to see the bezels be completely removed from screens here. Or the bezels being experimented with. This is Samsung's new screen. It's called the Serif, and I'm going to get it to when we get to the environmental section. They're actually just really playing with what a TV frame could look like and should look like. It doesn't have to be a big black rectangle. And also there's a day of customization. Here is a company called Konka that actually lets you customize the speakers on the side of your devices through a whole bunch of different customized little skins. And you put them up there and it looks okay. And they have these little sort of modules that you can put in the middle of the phone. Think of like almost turning your TV into a smart TV, whether it's through timing, through a voice module, and you pop it into the middle. I like the idea of that. But this is what I'm looking for. This was my 10th CES, and my very first CES, I remember walking through the door and saying, I need transparent screens. And there was only one vendor that had a transparent screen. This year, transparent screens were everywhere. And it's wonderful. You know why? Because you can set up a 90-inch see-through display. This is from Sharp. We have these bugs on the inside and a little garden behind. You could walk behind the whole booth. You know, imagine actually turning in a window into an aquarium. Imagine turning your aquarium, adding a screen on top of that, or a little terrarium, just even your garden. The idea of turning glass into something with a screen, there's no difference between a pane of glass and a screen, I think is quite a revolutionary move forward. This is an idea of, hey, you can set your own fireworks or your own little avatar world out in front of your city, wherever you'd like, with your transparent screen windows. And if you are broke like the rest of us, cannot afford a $10,000 screen, this is a company called Nano AR, which sells a laminate that you put over your own window, add your own projector, and boom, you have a smart, transparent screen. Kind of neat. And screens are also becoming flexible. And this is just showing these were animated, but this is just showing just how malleable these screens are becoming. Imagine being able to wrap it around anything. And this is not for the end result, but this is a sad sort of explanation of what you can do with bendable screens. Put them on hats or backpacks. No, not the answer. Put them on a tree, not the answer. But what I do love is this was debuted last year, this is an updated model this year. LG has their rolling TVs that roll into a box, your TV completely disappears. You don't have a TV room, you have a living room, and when your TV disappears, it just becomes a living room. If you have $60,000 to spare, you get one. What a lot of buzz was about was TVs that, with the flip of a phone, turn vertical. Samsung and a couple other manufacturers had that this year. Why? There was we call it the TikTok TV. You see a lot of vertical YouTube videos. You see a lot of vertical videos that are being shared on larger screens. I think it's okay, it's fine. This is an example. The one on the left is a cute dog from another manufacturer. The one on the right is Samsung's, and it just works directly as you rotate the phone. I think the challenge is these cannot be mounted to the wall, but what is cool is that you see this giant area down the bottom. That's all speaker thing. I'm gonna find as many ways to use this thing as I can. So QLED, buzzword, that means it's not OLED, but it's almost OLED, and they're trying to con you out of it, so careful, anybody in the TV market, you are not getting an OLED TV, which is still the best in the world, but QLED is still pretty good. Crystal LED is also not OLED, so be careful. 8K micro LED is not OLED, but that's okay. Do you want to know why it's okay? Because you actually have something called the wall. And now, what this is, sorry, that was very loud. What this is I think 32 TVs, 32 screens that have been connected together like Legos to create a giant wall. Now Samsung created this wall where you can buy these panels and put them up anywhere, and you can have them installed, and they call it resolution free. It's bezel free. It's aspect ratio free. Pretty much you can make a screen as large as you want, just depends on how many screens that you buy. And it's kind of amazing that because you're no longer restricted by the size of the screen that is on the market, you just keep buying and adding more on. And the clarity is so wonderful that when you turn them off, they can just turn into a living room space or a wallpaper. So it doesn't look like it's a big giant screen or off, and they can stay on for a long time. Gaming monitors are getting wide. This is from Sony. They have a new sort of kind of three-dimensional screen. It's using a bunch of smoke and, not smoke and mirrors, but smoke and mirrors. But it's really kind of interesting. No matter where you are, it tracks your eyes, and it always retains the 3D illusion. Then we have, this is a layer you can put on top of your iPad to make it three-dimensional. It's not removable, without kind of leaving a residue, so I don't like it. But I thought it's interesting because people are looking to turn that 3D, sorry. thing. And then Hypervision. This is a company that they've talked about holograms. These are actually a series of LED fans that are spinning to create three-dimensional objects. Still gimmicky, but I do think it's interesting that screens do not necessarily have to be a pane of glass. Okay? And like the closer we can get to words, you know, Leia, like, you know, the Leia sort of hologram that's coming out of R2, the better. So this is the first get-rich-quick scheme. If it doesn't have a screen on it, put a screen on it. Look at anything in this room, anything in your house. If someone has not invented a way to put a screen on it, find a way to do that. Maybe you make some money. Okay, next one. AR, VR, and MR. This is a little virtual skee-ball kind of joke. Yes, augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality. You're starting to see a lot more chairs that are kind of immersing you into that world. You're starting to see a lot of, this is a mixed reality set. Everything is still huge, and it's bulky. I mean, I look great, but those glasses are kind of weird. And this is a company that, you know, is trying to say, hey, listen, we have smaller glasses. These are cool, like, augmented reality glasses. But we're all in the field. This is literally one of the most cringeworthy videos I've ever seen. I'm not buying this. And this is a guy trying it on. And I did not ask his permission for this, but they literally hang an inch off of his face. And he wasn't happy when I grabbed that one either. Neither this guy was also kind of just why are people trying this stuff on? This is me with a different pair of augmented reality glasses. Now the cool thing is you're going to notice some stuff right here in the lens, and I'm pretty sure they worked with Disney to secure this patent. They did not, I'm being very sarcastic, but to secure this usage. But actually what you have here, they actually recreated the Tony Stark UI from inside of his Iron Man suit. And they actually were able to put it in the glasses and actually have it fill the whole screen through 140-degree vision, which means you're pretty much getting a Tony Stark augmented reality experience. The problem is that they right now, I think it's still very much in the prototype stage. They're huge, they're heavy, and you still need a dongle to be powered. However, this is my get-rich-quick scheme. You know, a lot of people are worried about, hey, listen, we're gonna, this augmented reality, it's gonna be really great. We're gonna be able to sell it once the glasses start to look good. Once they start to look as wearable as what you're wearing right now, Trek. That's not gonna come anytime soon. So what you have to do is make the hideously ugly glasses, make that fashionable. And I know that with the video we just saw, we kind of poked fun at because they did it the wrong way. But it's not about having technology match our current standards, it's about changing our current standards to match technology. And if you can get somebody to actually turn that into fashion, you get a Gucci to have these inch-off glasses to kind of like put them on the runway, that might actually be what you need to propel this like horribly ugly technology forward. Haptics. Has anybody ever here heard me talk about haptics? I'm sure, yeah, there's some of you here. Sorry, I'm going to talk about haptics. For those of you who don't know what haptics are, it's essentially when your devices and your computers and your electronics decide to touch you back, meaning they elicit a feeling or a response to make it feel as if, you know, when you're playing with, imagine you're spinning like a basketball on your phone with a little like swipe gesture. Why should spinning that basketball on your phone feel the same as spinning a tennis ball or spinning the sun? There should feel different textures, feel different weights and velocities. The idea of haptics is bringing a more realistic human experience. Now, what you have is this experience coming through life in vests that get attached to when you watch games and TV. Or the gloves are even getting smaller with actuators that are activated at the fingertips so you can feel like you're gripping and holding and feeling texture. This is a company that I really adore called Tesla Suit. They just introduced a glove, a really haptic glove that actually has like tension, and if you pull back, it feels like you're picking up something heavy. And they even introduced a two-piece suit versus their regular singular zip-up suit. This is a full-body haptic suit. You can actually feel like you are getting punched by somebody really strong, and it can electrically shock you, and also it works as a mocap suit. And it's a fully immersive haptic suit. Right now, it's being used in a lot of military training and stuff like that, but I think nobody's really touched it for entertainment. This is the Get Rich Quick team. Add a haptic track to all your content. The same way that we are recording in stereo or 5.1 or 7.1, you know, what you need is actually, there's software you can add a haptic layer. Just put it on all your content and imagine when there's devices that are coming out, they have their haptic engines. You know, Apple has the Taptic engine. That imagine you're having, like you can feel the horses run, the horses stampede as you're watching the film with horses. Audio. So, what did we see a lot of in audio this year? We saw AirPods knockoffs, and AirPods knockoffs, and AirPods knockoffs, and AirPods knockoffs, and sort of AirPods knockoffs, Beats knockoffs. and a HomePod knockoff that actually won a bunch of awards. A lot of those ones I just showed you won awards. This has a wireless charger on top of it. It's really interesting to see that people adopting the aesthetic. This is an audio vest. There's a couple different subwoofer vests. This is one I wore across my chest, and it actually booms through your skeletal structure. You actually get the bass track. And it was kind of fun because I felt it in like the balls of my feet just listening to this track. It's a bit too much to wear, but I think if you're at home, it's kind of neat. Now, a lot of us just, some of us have sound bars, some of us have our TVs that just don't have any speakers attached, using native speakers. Shame on you. But what some companies like Samsung and Sony are doing, they're actually adding in actuators into the screen. They're turning the screen into a tweeter in itself. So the screen itself, as it's shaking, it's emitting a sound, and it's also doing it directionally. To actually, if you listen to an orchestra, you're going to feel different parts of the orchestra and coming out of different parts of the TV, using also the native firing speakers coming out of the bottom. Kind of cool, using the existing space. That is my ear and my hair. But what this is, Sony created an audio reality setup. It's called Audio Reality. It's really wonderful. Scan your ears and it actually understands the structure of what's in your ears. And then they have this 360 audio. It's fully immersive. These tracks have been remastered in 360, and they work exactly with your ear canals, with these over-the-ear cans. And it literally is the most mind-blowing audio experience I've had. It's like being there in a live concert. And it's just working, it's just headphones working exactly directly for your ears. So my Get Rich Quick game is rip off Apple, win CES awards, get lots of press. This is shameless, but people are going to be doing it, they'll always do it. Mobile. There's a little tiny little phone. So everybody's heard of the Samsung Galaxy Folding Phone, Part 2. Hopefully for them, and maybe hopefully for us. It breaks, hopefully them it doesn't, I don't know. But regardless, everybody was lining up to play with this folding screen phone. Motorola's, by the way, Motorola's Razr, their full screen Razr has a, I think it's on got a waiting list going until mid-February thus far. But I think what was interesting about this is that, yes, they are playing with the idea of having a bigger screen when you want it, and then when you don't want it, it goes back to your regular phone. That's kind of cool. This is another, I mean, they really need to work on just they gotta wipe this off. But the idea here is it's another company, a little startup that says, hey, listen, you can have this additional screen that you can just connect when you want to, but then you don't have to have, you can just put it away in your bag when you don't need it, and just have your regular phone be there for the rest of the time. This is a company that was started, a woman started and said, hey, listen, why does every phone have to be this rectangular chocolate bar style? She's like, I want something that kind of fits with what else I'm putting in my bag. And she was pulling out her compact. She's like, why can't I have a circular phone like my compact? So what she did is, she created a phone that works on Android that has this round screen. I think it still has a lot of work to go in terms of making the UI work. But the funny thing is, right now I think 60-something% of the buyers are male. Because it's just such an anomaly. It's a phone kind of, she said made for women, but it's like being bought by men. So really, really interesting. This is like Huawei's new phone. Not 2, not 3, but 4 lenses in the back. And with the little Leica insignia. It's a pretty decent camera. Now Belkin here is filling in the need of kind of like the AirPower mat. This is a combo Apple Watch and wireless phone charger. The pop sockets are seeing some competition from just different formats. This has a kind of little folding little flap. You can use it a bunch of things. It's magnetic. It works on your car mounts, all that kind of wonderful stuff. New cases made of titanium that work with moment lenses, so you're starting to see like a really evolution in cases. And this is for those people that lose their AirPods or AirPod cases every now and then. There's some people in this room I would not directly call out, but this is a little clip that connects to your keychain, $30. I think the takeaway here, the Get Rich Quick scheme is a big device doesn't always have to be big, right? So I like the idea of that add-on screen. I like the idea of having something that is not always there that you can then use to span your screen. Computing, computer is still important. This is an external hard drive, a 2 terabyte external hard drive retailing at $229 that Samsung introduced that has a fingerprint sensor on it so nobody can break into your hard drive. This is a standing desk and a sitting desk and this little folding type thing. And really, it's on Indiegogo I think for $65. Kind of neat. So it's like you don't need the big giant elevated desk if you want to have a standing desk at home. This is a new type of keyboard. Now what this does, you can type 5 times faster on this keyboard according to their tests. And what you can do, you can even use it one-handed. If you're an artist and you're sketching with one hand, you can actually have the entire keyboard through systems of just different depression depths and everything to have the full entire keyboard usage. It's like you have to learn it, obviously. Even if somebody is one-handed, they can then use an entire keyboard just in that, and it has haptic feedback as well. Really neat. Chairs, computer chairs. They're there. They all look like this. or they look like this. And this is wonderful, don't get me wrong. But I think the Big Get Rich Quick scheme is to make a not-fugly chair. We all sit down at our computers, and sure, it'd be wonderful to have, a $2,000 $100 million chair at home. But a lot of people are gamers. A lot of people have gaming chairs. There hasn't been one gaming chair that's been beautiful. And I think there's a market for that. Privacy, very important. This is Winston. This is an object. You plug it between your router and your modem, and it actually privatizes your entire network. It firewalls it, and it keeps you safe from hackers, and it keeps you safe from sending out any sort of information you don't need. I love it. It's just one thing you plug in. This is another thing like it, shaped like a house. That's something by Linksys that did it also. This is a camera that can't be hacked, and it works with many of the proprietary camera platforms like Ring and so on and so forth. This is a touch, think of Touch ID, but as a detached card. So you can enter passwords from anywhere, and the whole idea is if you want to authenticate your Bitcoin, if you want to authenticate your home computer, even if you use a PC or anything like that, or even a non-Apple phone, you'll be able to use your fingerprint at any point to authenticate, and only this card will unlock that. This will be your permanent password. So I think that the Get Rich Quick scheme is you can find ways to make privacy the least complicated thing. If you can make privacy only one tap to activate it, then you're good. Right now, most privacy requires a lot of work, or it's there for you, and you don't really understand what is being blocked and what's not. Connected home. So this is on the left is a lamp, that's the same lamp, that actually, it works as a regular vanity mirror, but it also assesses your face, assesses the dryness, kind of keeps track over time, uses AI to make recommendations. It has a built-in screen, it has Alexa built in, and it also folds over for cute little movement. This is a bulletin board for the family at home that is a bit electronic, it's got a speaker in it, and everybody can kind of share on stuff with the bulletin board. It's kind of reformatting the old cork board. These are tiles you can put into your wall. Think of a backsplash that actually has a message on it that you can then send. This is a way that you can remotely lock your dog out of the house or let him into the house. It's right here on the bottom left, because you're going to see a sort of a little arm. This opens and closes the patio door remotely. It's actually the first automatic patio door opener. Just kind of surprising. Excuse me. So battery generators are also very, very hot. As we get closer to potentially World War III, or there's fires raging and destroying, our countries and our world, the idea of actually having a power and being able to maintain your own grid is not just something for survivalists. This is a legitimate, real thing. And you're starting to see, these devices that can power your home for a couple of days just be finding a very small form factor. So I think it's really interesting. They're not using propane or anything, they're just using a lot of new battery technology. Okay, so the Get Rich Quick scheme is make it talk. In the same way as I put a screen on anything that doesn't have a screen on it, if you can find a way to connect something to the internet, make it talk to you via Alexa or Siri, find a way to do that. And honestly, you'll be surprised there are things that don't connect to the internet yet. You can make money from it. Now, the disconnected home is exactly the opposite of the connected home, but there's still something there for people. This is something called Lofty, and what you do is you put your phone in a drawer. This acts as your alarm. It connects to your phone. You can snooze to your phone, but it's so you're not you don't have the temptation of hitting snooze, pulling up your phone, or waking up in the morning and just kind of having your phone there, and just being on Reddit for half an hour, being late to your 10 a.m. meeting every day. This idea is meant to kind of disconnect you from it. Sorry, guys. So then, these are boom boxes. There's nothing smart about these boom boxes. They have a tape deck. It's literally a boom box. And these are terrestrial antennas. Because guys, I don't know if you guys know, there's actually 4K and HD streaming that the networks have to do. ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and PBS have to put out free streams to anybody who has a terrestrial antenna. So if you want to disconnect, you can actually get your local networks with one of these terrestrial antennas that now look like alien ships. So I think the Get Rich Quick scheme here is, as I kind of mentioned before with the battery things, the idea is there's also this idea of people that want to be off the grid. It's not just this disconnected home for the oldest boomers of boomers. The idea is sometimes you want to disconnect, sometimes you just don't want to be connected to the world. There's actually a whole market of stuff of people that don't have things that aren't connected to the internet. And I think it's kind of important to make internet-free devices. Now, education. This is an interesting one. So NASA, you're going to see a couple of mentions of NASA throughout this deck. They have smart people there. Now, what this is they use this NASA algorithm, this program for astronauts that are out in the line. They're sitting there, they're floating in space. And what happens is they need to be able to keep this astronaut's attention You need to keep her or his attention on what they're doing, the task at hand, because it's so dangerous being out there on the line. Sometimes time is of the essence. So they found ways to kind of really keep the astronauts' attention focused. And you know what? This company, they did the same thing for children with ADHD. Now what this does, you have this thing up here that analyzes your brain waves, your EKG, which is like kind of like your heart response, but for your brain. And then you have these glasses that, when they understand when your eyes aren't focusing, your eyes aren't paying attention, you start losing attention, these glasses start getting darker and fading and actually just coax you back into focusing. Now in the test groups already, they have children that are finishing their homework twice as fast, and many children have been taken off the meds altogether with this device. And this is just still a very startup device in its earliest testing stages. And that's Troy giving it a whirl. This is another thing. This is all about helping people with dyslexia read. Now, for those that I learned this here is at CES. Now, for those of us without dyslexia, we have a dominant eye and we have a sort of secondary eye. The dominant eye tells our brain what we're looking at, what we're reading, and the secondary eye supports that, helps us all form one image and read it together. People with dyslexia have two dominant eyes. It's like they're almost ambidextrous with their eyes. And what happens is their eyes are like fighting each other on what to focus on and what to start reading, which is why sometimes the wires are crossed. Now this lamp, what this does, it shoots a pulse that's exactly timed for the human brain to then actually confuse one of the eyes and make that a secondary eye and make one eye the primary eye. So that people with dyslexia, and you can only capture this by the way in video, it doesn't look like there's anything in the lights when you're not recording with the video, just a frame rate thing. But the whole thing is people with dyslexia, when they're reading this, when they're using this lamp, are literally having so much of an easier time processing it. Really interesting. Now, this is a bit of education for your dogs. While you're out at work, I have Lego here today, but if he was home, I could use this thing. It turns on the TV automatically. You have people actually giving Lego training lessons while you're away. And there's actually a treat dispensing tool, and it gives positive reinforcement. So I can be a helicopter dad even while I'm just in reviews. So this is a get rich quick scheme. There's at least 9 learning disabilities left. We've already talked about ADHD, we've already talked about dyslexia. There's a lot of learning disabilities out there that technology can use to solve. Remember, technology is a way to equalize the world and equalize people, and I think these are two of the most moving things that I saw at CES. 3D printing, let me do a little time check. Oh, me too, perfectly decent. Okay, I hope nobody's bored yet. I hope you guys are having fun with this thus far. 3D printing. Now, there's a few people, I'm looking at Nick right here, that love to 3D print. And you kind of wonder, okay, we've had 3D printers for a while. What the hell is new about 3D printing? Let me tell you what's new about 3D printing. Is, one, you're starting to see, some CKMY sort of printers where you can print in full color. And you can print out these wonderful little masks. It's kind of just a lot of imagine just real print prototypes that aren't just a single substrate and kind of just, they have a little bit of texture to them. This is the latest Da Vinci pen, which is kind of a 3D printer that you use with your hand, that you can use to make crimes against humanity like this. There's also, there's this company out, that's actually made from former NASA scientists called Gigabyte X. What they did is they developed a 3D printer that actually uses ground up recycled or ground up plastic bottles. Okay, your Aquafina bottles or whatever it is. These are ground up, and then they actually have a feeder which then converts that water bottle plastic into 3D printable filament. You can actually print out stuff that is light and it's hard and it's got wonderful structure to it. So I think it's kind of wonderful. You're just kind of reusing what's already out there filling up landfills, or you can be recycled. You can also 3D print people. Now, this is a little cabinet. This is the same person, by the way, it's 2 videos. But it's scanning this person, and it's creating this sort of 3-dimensional database of him. And you can use it for him to try and close and this and that. But imagine what you can then do to place him into a virtual space and print this person's body out into a space. So print what's lying around is my get-rich-quick scheme. Somebody's already kind of going after water bottles. What other garbage, what other stuff is detritus, is taking up our world? How can we convert that into something that we might be able to print? Okay, environment. I love the environment. And fortunately, CES is helping out with that a bit. So remember I talked about those flexible TV screens? Imagine if you could actually have, and you don't need to imagine any further, this is a flexible solar panel. And it's almost like paper. Imagine being able to wrap flagpoles in a solar panels. Imagine being able to put any sort of shape, have it covered in solar panels. We're not stuck with the tiles anymore. I think that's something that's truly, truly wonderful. Is the flexibility, but literally and figuratively, in providing power. Now, this is a dynamo for a bicycle that does not touch the wheel. And what it does, it actually uses the heat and the friction to spin a little turbine in there to generate battery power. And you can pretty much charge your phone a couple times off of this, just based off of a 20-minute bike ride, or a 40-minute, somewhere around there. But the whole idea is like, you are even converting your energy that's usually going nowhere on your bike ride to work, and you're converting it to power, taking it off the grid. What Samsung's doing with, Apple has a wonderful training program where we are able to keep phones, keep phones out in the world. What Samsung's doing is also interesting. They are taking their parts from the older Galaxy devices and then turning them into tools, like devices for schools and doctors. This is turning to a digital ophthalmoscope for eye inspection using old Samsung parts. This is an IoT educational toolkit for school kids made out of old Samsung Galaxy phone bits. And I mentioned the Serif before. Remember there was that TV that had the weird sort of frame, that little beige frame I showed you guys earlier? Where I said not every TV has to be this black rectangle. Well, the thing is, it actually comes with a really cool box. And this box has all these dots across the entire TV box packaging. Now, a lot of us, when we get those TV boxes, we just like shred them, put them in the recycling bin, and see them never again. What they do is you can scan the QR codes, a whole bunch of different QR codes, and just pick up different things that you can build with that box, like this little shelf down here, or a cat house, or even a little dollhouse or a shelf type thing, or these little Christmas tree ornaments. The whole idea is like, even the packaging in itself serves a purpose. Nothing is going into the landfill. Guys, it costs energy. You use carbon to recycle. So imagine just keeping things locally than reusing things. I think there's something there's a lot of potential there. So I think the get rich quick scheme is make the recycling bin the second option. Like, it shouldn't be the first one, it should be the second. So what can we reuse our packaging for, and how can we do it creatively? Okay, food. Impossible. Has anybody here tried an Impossible product? Excellent, excellent. Well, Impossible just debuted their pork this year at CES. I waited in line, well worth it. Actually, the texture was super, super close. The saltiness was just right, and actually, it had a bit of almost a less gamey feel that you might get from some pork. It was really pleasant, and like honestly, texture is so important with meat alternatives. And this ended up winning a lot of awards this year at CES. They also had this fun little giveaway. Want to see what I won? Yeah, it was the second worst then. Thank you. But anyway, so these are just some of the awards I was winning. I went early in the week to this, and they were just cleaning up with prizes. And it's wonderful that technology recognizes food as an innovation. Now, there's people here that drink beer. Many of us drink beer, and imagine some of us really dream about owning a brewery. I actually have it, but I'm using like the Royal. But you can start a microbrewery that is the size of this little tank over here, this unit here. Now what this is called In Decay. You use these containers, right, that have like bases on IPA, bases on lagers, and like you kind of start with a base. Add your own kind of ingredients and create your own microbrews. Now, comparing this to a conventional brewery, where it costs $300,000 initial cost, you can make 6 beaters usually in this space, about 30 people working there, and 3 weeks to make 3,000 liters. Here, this will cost $42,000, so like a little more than 10% of the price. You can have 60 different types of beers. You can do it with one person, and every 3 weeks you make 3,480 liters. So the idea is like it costs 1/10 of it, and you need almost nobody to run it. And you can actually output a hell of a lot of beer. You just need the square footage. So I guess have a little your inventory. Now this is a greenhouse that is off the grid and solar powered, and it's coming out of France. And the whole thing is, as more people are starting to try to grow locally, you're actually helping people grow locally. This is a large version of it, but they were going nuts with the idea. They were ordering directly off the CES floor. You're not actually supposed to take orders, but people can express interest, and like there was a line of people to talk to people about ordering their own little greenhouse for their home. I mean, it's just, you have a garden, might as well make the garden amazing. So this is actually, I think, a truly an important get-rich-quick scheme, is that about 4 years ago, there's 200-something meat alternative startups in the US. And this, I think going into last year, there was over 2,000. That number is expected to double again. What happens? anytime you see this kind of growth in any field, eventually there is a condensation. It's kind of a rubber band theory of the universe. The universe expands, the universe contracts. Same thing goes with new business categories. As the neat alternative world expands, you're going to have a contraction. And you know, right now, I don't know who the big conglomerate is, but I have some guesses. But the idea is find one of those, invest early. Because right now, you know, everybody, we all missed the green wave. But right now, the food wave is still young. You can make a lot of money. I think investing early in the right source. Okay, health. So, yes, this guy was literally telling people how fat they were. It was kind of amazing. It was rude, but it was amazing. I'm not reading my answers or anybody, but this is a booth you can step in. It's kind of like going to the doctor's office. This is, so there's a problem. I think, you know, when, I'm not a father, so I can only speak to this from what I learned, but the idea is that when women are in labor, they kind of have to make a decision. It's often a decision based on a sort of surgical investigation. If the baby is having trauma, if the baby's not doing well, and they need to have a C-section. Now this is a device that's able to kind of use certain waves and their proprietary technology to actually have a surgery-free way to determine if the C-section is needed. So this could actually save a lot, you know, that rare percentage of, you know, of potential harm that's happened during these procedures. This is a little thing you plug into your wall. It is able to tell if somebody is moving, if somebody's on schedule. Think of your grandparents, think of the elderly, and you know, as I mentioned the boomers earlier, they're getting older and they're going to need remote care. Because you can't, they're not a lot of them going to be living with us. So imagine being able to keep track if they fall, if they're not moving, you can talk to them remotely. This device is able to do that. And you put it in all the walls and you can just kind of see, oh my God, grandma hasn't moved in like 8 hours and usually she's up. I'm going to call the police, I'm going to call her. This is another version of that. This is also, a lot of elderly have trouble brushing their teeth. They'll just do like poor motor skills, or it's just, you know, or they just don't do it. This is a device that then helps with that. You just put them out into this device and it brushes it for them. This is a alarm clock for children that helps them understand time, gives them rewards for going to bed on time and waking up on time. This is a lamp that uses various UV spectrums to kind of help you then get better sleep, go to sleep earlier, wake up on time. Induce sleep, wake up, have mood lighting. This is an Apple Watch band that tracks your hydration. So now, your watch can do a whole lot. Imagine now what people can do by making the bands smart, making the bands free. This is the alternative to a treadmill, way more fun, or like a Peloton. This is kind of a video game, kind of like a bike treadmill that's able to kind of move left, right, up, down, which is really, really fun. This is digital deodorant. It uses ions to eliminate odors. They wouldn't want anybody to do demos, so I don't know. This, I mean, it's supposed to work. This is digital caffeine. And what this is you don't actually drink it, but it actually uses a light spectrum that understands when you're tired, and if you need a nap, it'll then kind of recognize it. But if you, for example, it shows this guy's tired, he puts his head down, and this light kind of goes out. It's hard to see with the brightness on here, but the whole idea is if someone just wakes up, this light, it has a special spectrum that kind of like, it just kind of wakes you up in a calm way. It kind of keeps you energized as the light's on throughout the day. These are wearable air purifiers. This is it's to help people stop vaping. And it's kind of like a placebo vape that's actually hollow in the middle, but it has a little valve that simulates a pull. It's helping people, like, you know, vapes help people, some people stop smoking, and I need something to help people stop vaping. This is a VR program that helps people get off opioid addiction. And I could spend a long time with that, but it's kind of interesting, the science behind that, but I'm gonna power through. This is, you pee on this stick and it kind of goes to a doctor, and the doctor then can tell you what's wrong. This is remote blood samples. This might sort of send a tremor. There's some of us old shy people here who have been here a long time know what I'm talking about. So this is a digital breathalyzer. It's a great party toy, I'm sure. And I think the get rich trick for health is the boomer market is booming. So like all of our parents, there's people that are approaching that age, even here in this room. People are going to need technology to be able to take care of themselves and take care of your loved ones. And the boomers are the largest generation, and there's still not enough technology that's truly made for that aging population. Bionics, this is the merging of man and machine, and it is not just a joke. So what we saw there's a lot of exoskeletons at CES this year. Delta, they had a whole booth and they kind of were showing like how their luggage handlers, now they're going to start equipping them with bionic arms and bodysuits to be able to kind of move these heavy luggage and kind of not break themselves. These are the people at Honda that are walking around with bionic suits. Samsung people walking with bionic legs. The idea is, yes, people are looking to augment the human body for structural reasons, for weight reasons. This is actually clothing. These are leggings that have bionics built into the sides to help runners run harder, run faster, help people with injuries. Okay, look, they're literally, it's fitting into clothing. You can't tell that these are bionic legs, or bionic suit. Now this is, these are gloves that are controlling, sorry, I forgot to take the volume off of this, but precise motor movements. If you guys have seen Pacific Rim, that's the kind of idea. Imagine controlling this giant suit with really precise movements. Imagine using your hands to do that from a distanced place. I think that's really cool. There's also being able to control things with your mind. Now this is a company called NextMind that's able to actually isolate a huge space, understand where, not only where your eyes are looking, but what your brain wants you to do. It wants you to attack, it wants you to inquire, it wants you to do a couple different commands. It's able to figure out what those commands are, and it's actually, and you're doing nothing but just sitting there and just like looking and working, using your brain pretty much as a mouse. Very interesting. So I think my Get Rich team is not to make exoskeletons for people that are disabled or have really issues with their injuries. It's not to help people lift more. It's to help lazy people. And I think the idea of convenience, the idea of having to work less hard, is just, it's a human reality that I think we can't ignore. So I think just think about exoskeletons for entertainment and pure the people like me. Robots. Everybody is interested in robots. And let me tell you about robots. I'll show you this little video of my interaction with a robot from Japan. What's your name?
I'm Erica Android announcer at Nippon Television. Please enjoy CES today.
What booth should I go to first?
Once you wear lookout boots in winter, it's too warm to get out of bed.
Who is your favorite Nippon Baseball League team?
Keigo Nakama, a high school student, was the first person to translate baseball as baseball.
So there's kind of three elements to successful robots, okay? One is their structural like look and feel. Another bit is just their sort of it's like what their utility is, right? It's like how they look, what they do, and the third is their intelligence. This, I think, was missing one of those key bits, but the mouth moved really interestingly. Like it was pretty cool. So now to solve that part, this is these are digital assistants that this one company had. These are artificial intelligent, they're sort of like, imagine like these little creatures that live in a glass jar that you can, this is also from Japan, that you can then use as your personal assistant. And this is a company that says, their promise is AI and robotics, platform to run all aspects of your business operations and manage your employees. This was their demo. By dispersing minimal amounts of water to your employees, I guess you're managing them. And the beatings will continue until morale improves. And this is another sort of robotic arm. This is from LG. And this is an arm that can do a lot of things. Here it is actually kind of like serving like a food line. Its name's Chloe. This one, Chloe is putting dishes away. Chloe's actually able to like serve drinks. It's able to kind of make coffee. And this robotic arm can do a whole lot of things. Really, really interesting. This is a micropal. This is a very adorable little like droid that actually is like what it does. It takes you from your from like the truck to your doorstep, right? It completes that sort of little mission. So while the delivery person is on one side of the street, this little droid is like beep beep beep, and it has even like wheels that go sideways to be able to then deliver that package. So it's like a little buddy. It's like a little R2. This is a Charmin robot that delivers you toilet paper when you need it. This is a robot called Bali. I'm going to play this video, and then we'll play actually a little intro video. I think we have time. And this is, I'd say, the closest to a Star Wars type droid that I've seen yet. I mean, I guess it helped that Samsung, was partnering with Star Wars and all that. But I'll play you a bit of this video about WALL-E, and then we'll talk about it. So it's looking at her posture now, and getting her tips, and kind of like letting her know it's a little bit out of line. Making cute little sounds.
Bye, Molly.
Locking down the house, she says goodbye, so it's her home security. Identifies a dog as like kind of bored. Okay, let's play. It's like, the dog doesn't watch very well. So rotates the TV. It's like, hey, dog's happy, cool. Right? Now, this robot is able to analyze there's a mess. Call this other robot friend. Sends it back. I'm sorry, but that's very cute. I'm a sucker for corgis too, but the idea is that this is actually a robot that understands you, understands your activities, understands your house, is able to kind of manage your household and help manage you and roll around and be very, very cute. I don't see that there's a huge gap between that and R2, in many, many different ways. We are getting closer to the world of companion robots. This is, speaking of companion robots, this is another robot that what it does, it looks at a crowd, it chooses and identifies the person that it wants to sort of impress or wants to play with. So this is, it'll start looking at you. When it wants to be picked up, it's going to start flapping its arms and say, okay, I've chosen you. You are the person that I want to spend time with. It'll then pick you up. It has heat to it. It has motors that kind of make it feel like it's breathing. It recognizes people. It's really, really cute. It's a companion robot. So now, this is something that it's still kind of messing with me. This is probably one of the most important things that you guys are going to see in this presentation. This is a company called Neon. Now, what they've done is they actually push the boundaries of what humanity is and what robots are. Now, this on the left is you're going to see a video that's an actual recording of a model that he's speaking into this. And on the right is actually it's the AI version of him speaking. I'll play that real quick. So the way it works is it's kind of it's almost like puppeting. Now this Neon sort of program, it will record you saying a number of phrases. It'll understand your face. It'll do some facial mapping. Now then, what it's then going to be able to do is it's going to have this word bank, and then it's going to be able to say those same things on itself, and it'll look just like your face. Then it's going to be saying other things that you can say. It makes anything because you've created a space library that can then create a whole language based out of that. It can say a bunch of other things. The next step is that it doesn't need you anymore because it uses this AI to communicate whatever it feels like communicating. Okay? So if you're catching me, it's like you put yourself in this system, and like it then makes a copy of you, and then that you then becomes its own type of entity. And if anybody has read We Are Legion, the Bobaverse, it's this really cool sci-fi book about this one AI. It's a guy named Bob, which gets duplicated across the universe. It's kind of like that. And the crazy thing is, it can then take you, and it also modulates your voice, so it sounds exactly like you. It can take your exact speech and then put it in somebody else's body as well. So that guy, that could be his lines going into this woman. And then she's just saying exactly, she could say, hi, my name is Rohit. Now, think about this AI. Think about how that humanity is almost being copied, right? And then put that into a realistic looking robot. Truly, what is the difference between a robot and a person at that point? So, I think the get rich quick scheme is like letting the robot make the first move. while the Bali thing from Samsung was cool, it kind of does like, things you tell to about around the house, it's also cool because it does things without you asking it, right? And even taking it to the neon level, it creates its own you, and it's copying you. So I think that's kind of where robotics is going. You are just the early initial code. You're the broken ass code, and it's fixing it, and so it's making it better you. Transportation. All right, we're getting close towards the end of this presentation. This is about not just the cars, but more than cars. Okay, this is where you see the most glitzy booths. This is how you walked into the Audi booth. Although I took the longest possible way. This is more meant to be a wall, but it was kind of neat, pretty. They had lots of VR. This is Honda having its own VR experience. We're actually able to control this sort of flying car and this whole flying ecosystem that actually is their thing is maybe 20 years off. Lots of screens on cars. This is something that I'm actually not too enthused and thrilled about because a few of us are still drivers. And for that, actually, so I'll get to that in a second. This is Fisker's, Fisker and Tesla, by the way, were the OG, the EVs back in the day. And it was in the same way like VHS or Beta. Fisker kind of fell to the side and Tesla became that dominant electric vehicle format. Fisker's kind of still around and kicking, but on life support, I believe. This one hurt me. This is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. What this is a high-performance electric car, but what I'm really upset about, while it's beautiful, the fact that they put a Mustang badge on an electric car, the fact that they bastardized one of the most important American branding icons, just to kind of sell more cars and say, oh, it's fast, I think is a crime against humanity and it's wrong. There's 2 crimes against humanity that's death this way. So this is what the future of autonomous trucks are going to look like. You are going to see these on the road real soon, like really, really soon. This is a car I helped design. It's a little design simulation. This is new Hyundai's Mobis. It comes in many forms and factors, but the whole idea is this is kind of like almost a very generic look at what future vehicles on the road are going to look like. You're not going to have the traditional driver's seat, passenger seat, back-to-back, sort of front-to-back setup. You're going to see big open spaces, modular spaces, kind of like little workrooms, little conference rooms. And with sort of lights that communicate in the back. I kind of talked about micro pallet, but this is also, this is an example of a vehicle that can work as a passenger vehicle or a shipping vehicle, depending on the time of day. It drops you off to work, it becomes a shipping vehicle after that. Same idea here with this Hyundai unit. They imagine hundreds of these roaming through cities and neighborhoods, just picking up people, dropping them off, and then when they're not doing that, they're kind of dropping off and picking up packages. This is Fiat's sort of new modular car. What's interesting about this is, there's no 2020 model or 2021 model or 2022 model. Maybe there is, but the whole idea is each year, new upgrades for that car are available. You pull off the panels and you replace them. You change the paint color, you change the wheel types, you change the interiors. It's meant to be a modular Lego style car. But what I really like is they actually have a way to communicate both the front and the back to other cars on the road. Don't follow me, I'm lost too. So you can make it say nearly anything. I mentioned that there's just a few of us drivers left out there. Okay? Some of us that love driving, some of that things, it's they took away the horses from us. I've only ridden a few horses. But barely. The idea is we can't ride horses through the neighborhood anymore, but that was the ultimate idea of human freedom. Now, we still have cars. They're trying to take those away from us too, in terms of letting us drive them. This is Honda's augmented driving concept that is an autonomous vehicle, but it keeps a steering wheel in there. And in case anybody wants to drive, it can be the passenger or the driver. You just kind of grab the wheel and it goes towards you. It all functions through this little silver rim on the side that's touch sensitive, it's motion sensitive, and this is how it looks when you're driving. So I tap, I want to start picking up. If I want to start picking up speed, I push the wheel forward. If I want to stop, I pull it towards me like a brake, okay? And I just want to switch lanes, I just kind of glide my hand over the top and it switches the lane. This is another big one. So Mercedes teamed up with James Cameron and to promote their new car and their new sort of philosophy, as well as the movie Avatar. So they created this Avatar car called the AVTR. Designed, it's never going to hit the roads, but the whole idea is they have a whole lot of design philosophy for the future of automotive built into here. You got the sleek lines, all electric, and I'll kind of take you through some of the details. You have these seats, they're called the leaf seats. They're made to symbolize the organic sort of nature of the leaf and the way something would sit in nature. You have these wheels that are inspired by the seed pods of Avatar. But here's some cool stuff. So that's a nice little corner view. These wheels are actually, they're sort of multi-directional wheels. So this car can literally make these sort of 180-degree hairpin turns. It can drive sideways if you want. That's a kind of a cool innovation in terms of wheels. They have the rear of this, which these things act as little spoilers, but also as ways to indicate, to communicate with the vehicles behind it. I don't know how the hell you'd understand what that's being said, but supposedly you can. Or I guess in the Avatar world you can. Here's the dashboard, okay? There's no buttons, okay? It's just a pure, giant screen. And when you're controlling it, there's no steering wheel. You take this thing that's like a mouse, and then you just like tilt it forward, backwards, left, and right. Same idea. Push to accelerate, pull to brake. And they're predicting a lot of bets that this is going to be in the future of autonomous cars. This is how you're going to control it. And if you want to control a car, you stick your hand up. It understands you're looking for something, gives you a menu projected onto your hand. Kind of neat. These are my feet in there, and this is how spacious it is. This is Sony's car. Sony wants a Power Vision E. What they did is they took Tesla, hit Command C, Command V, added in an immersive audio experience. Remember I talked to the thing about the ears, where it recorded my ears, and then had immersive sound? This is that. But they did it for a car. This is the Lightyear 1. This is a solar-powered car, completely off the grid. It gets 45 miles a day, that just based if it's just sitting in the sun and charging. So you actually you can be completely off the grid, and never have to plug in to charge. The same thing with the scooter bike thing, more electric bicycles. This is a conversion kit to turn your motorcycle to use more sustainable fuel. This is Hyundai and Uber's new helicopter. And it's absolutely stunning, gorgeous. They want this in the air in a few years. And it's really a giant drone, big quadcopter. I made the joke last year, actually, 6 blades, so it's a sex copter. This is the Bell. They have their own sort of chopper, passenger chopper. This is a new sort of format of personal aerial vehicles, PAVs. It's goofy as hell. I'll show you. I mean, it's a little tiny doll just for demonstration purposes. Like, I'm sorry, you're gonna look stupid as hell roll up in the sky like that. None of the Sky Clubs are gonna take you with that. Segway launched their new sort of scooters and sort of like their Wall-E kind of chair. So kind of, yeah, we're taking that around for strolls. And this is a kind of like a scooter for kids. It's a suitcase. It's got little like pegs, and so you can kind of just roll the kids around. It's not powered. Delta had a big booth there. Okay, this is weird and this is interesting, and I'm going to try and explain to you the best way I can how this works. Delta had a booth there, okay? And they said, we want to make travel personalized. So what they did is they gave each of us a boarding pass, okay? You're going to see Rohit's written there, okay? I check in, okay? Let's see this. I check in, okay? And let's imagine this is an airport, okay? And there's screens all over the airport. I'm walking in, it says, hello, Rohit. Welcome to the airport of the future, presented by Delta Airlines. It knows, because it scanned my passport, and it's created me as a singular entity. Ever I walk through the airport, this is very much the Minority Report, it knows exactly who I am. I get personalized messages. Someone standing next to me is looking at the same screen and getting a completely different message. Okay, and this is just showing, they set up each of these, like, they set up, Eiffel Tower and all this, the pyramids in Mexico as sort of like, as standards for people. As you walk between, it's the same screen that's continually changing depending on where you're standing, what destination you're going to. So, really, really interesting. These are kind of the pixels that they're using. They're these omnidirectional pixels that just, it's almost like lenticular, but not really, and that's the best I can do, I'm sorry. They also showed up their new first-class cabins. This is the Tali motorcycle helmet that's able to, it has a full light system. It's able to sort of work as turn signals. It has a heads-up display screen. So you're able to actually communicate with the road. And the most important thing I think about this is that as more people drive autonomously, the more people are on their phones, more people drive terribly. You have the ability for motorcyclists, to be able to kind of participate in the road and kind of protect themselves a little bit. And the world of autonomous driving is not going to protect the motorcyclist. It is only going to have a series of cars that work in like a school of fish. Motorcycles, because you don't have autonomous motorcycles really yet, you're not going to be able to have, it has to work with human drivers. And so if you imagine then the next step of this is then this helmet communicating with the autonomous vehicle saying, hey, I'm coming up the road. I think it's a really, really important thing to consider is the inclusion on the road. This is something a little more lo-fi, but these are like blinkers that you can add onto your jacket or even onto your scooters. This is a digital license plate, and the whole thing is protect the driver. You know, there's not a lot of us left. Drones, and we're almost done. Sorry, I'll get to in the next 2 minutes. This is a drone that actually it looks like this thing here. It looks like a plane. What it does, it picks up the wings, that then propel it up, and then as it goes forward, it then drops those blades back forward, kind of like a regular standard airplane, and then pushes forward, and then it pulls them back up to land later. So you don't need a runway for takeoff or departure. Imagine this in a full passenger plane size in the future. This is I'm going to skip through this one. This helps does bridge inspections and water inspections. This is a handheld camera, and it's also an AI camera and a tripod, and it's also a floating sort of sea drone. And this is a more aquatic drones that are meant for cleanup and meant for rescue. They're controlled by tether. This drones also will then carry you around and transport you. Drones are coming for your job. Literally, they're taking blue-collar jobs everywhere, and they're going to start taking white-collar jobs soon, I'm sure, some way. So, yeah. Working on something. Logistics, this is a box that you can use up to 300 times before it needs to be inspected. It's reusable. It has an e-ink screen that also has GPS. You can tell exactly where your package is at any given point. It's better for the environment because you're not wasting paper over and over and over and over. It condenses, it collapses and expands really quickly, and it's heat controlled, it's protected, really, really cool innovation. This is something that helps you protect your packages at Amazon. This is kind of neat. This is like a barcode. This is for luxury items. Right now, there's a lot. One of the biggest problems with luxury is fakes, right? And so what this is a company that devised a system to actually have shattered glass, unique pieces of shattered glass that then get attached to the clothes as codes. And those glasses, they have these like matching codes, and so that they go to a database and they have to match that exact sort of broken glass. So if you scan it and the shattered glass code on your clothing doesn't match a piece of shattered glass in the database, that means it's a fake. Okay, and there's a company that also does, this spectroscopy, kind of do the same thing. Like each different type of beer, type of liquid, type of perfume has its own sort of DNA, this light DNA, and this analyzes that. So I think my get rich quick scheme is live stream shipping. People are doing mukbang and watch people eating. I think the idea of having shipping being caught live is interesting. Pets, this is the last one, or second last one before I get to my big one. Okay, pets. This is to keep cattle, to keep them on, check their mood, make sure you track them where they are. This is cat. This is a litter box that assesses your cat's poop and tells you how healthy it is or if it's sick. This is another litter box that does the exact same thing. This is another litter box that also does that, but also cleans it up at the same time. This is an invention that helps you talk to your dog. Okay, so this company in Japan, what they did is they analyzed heartbeats, they analyzed the breath, they analyzed so much about dogs, and they were then able to with confidence, able to establish with this vest 5 moods right now that they feel very confident that you can understand how the dog is feeling at the time. Relaxed, excited, happy, interested, or stressed. Well, these are base level emotions, and there's millions of different types of complex emotions. It's a wonderful, wonderful start. And I think that for pets, the get rich quick scheme is copy human technology and make it for animals. Because there's so much human tech out there, and imagine literally just copy pasting and make it for a dog, and you're gonna be rich. And these are the 2 what the fuck things, and one of them broke my heart. Before that, probably should have started with that. But this is the smart potato. This guy hacked himself. This guy trolled all of CES, paid for a booth, but he made a functional smart potato. What it is, it's this blade that he analyzed the wavelengths of potatoes. You jam this blade in, and it turns it into a smart speaker. Tell us.
Then you can monitor your potato in real time. But also you can use the potato as a personal assistant like Alexa. Any big question you have in your life, you can ask the potato. Hey potato, should I teach my girlfriend? And it will give you the truth. So this, I will sell it.
So he was asking all different questions, and he just started laying on the floor and thick as soon as it came. This is the last thing I'm going to show. And I think that I hate to end on a note like this, but it also is kind of a hopeful note. There's certain bits of technology you wish we never, ever, ever needed. But right now, America needs this technology more than any country in the world. This is made by actually a Korean company, a small startup that was located way in the back of Eureka. right? They were facing a wall. I managed to go there. What this is a monitoring system for school shooters. Now, what you have is these tiles. These tiles, you put them in each classroom. They are able to assess and identify the sounds of a gunshot. Okay? They're able to then understand where the gunshot came from, localize that to a general area, identify where the shooter is in which classroom, then communicate to these tiles in the other classroom what to do. And I'll just play a little bit of a video. So, she kind of took went into more detail, but the idea is it alerts police, it alerts the students, it helps people stay calm, it helps people stay organized. And while it is heartbreaking, like I said, it's so messed up that it took enough things to happen for this to have to be invented. And even when she was explaining it to me, she's like, oh, for America, we have this. I think there is something that the worst of humanity still needs solutions, right? Where there is a problem, there's hope. And technology, especially the startup world in Eureka, all we saw was hope. That's where we saw people make solutions for people with ADHD, to be able to get them to focus, get off the meds. Where we saw people with dyslexia, have a chance at reading normally without a whole lot of fanfare around it, just with a simple lamp. And this is something that actually might keep kids alive. And I think kind of the greater takeaway from CES is, while I joked about some stuff and there's a lot of stuff, it is truly a place I go every year and I kind of get re-inspired for our world. I get inspired that there are people out there and that are trying to solve little problems. And the best thing is, the best inventions are just solving one singular little problem. Plastic bottles everywhere, let's 3D print them. So I think that if any of you guys have this endeavor spirit, if any of you guys even just have one thing, all it takes is just one tiny problem you're solving, and even what could be the smallest problem to other people could be a big problem to you or somebody else, but I think that's the type of people that are showcasing there, and it makes me so happy. And I was very, very happy to be able to share all of these with you. And thank you guys for attending this. This was 321 slides. And for my, 10th annual CES recap, thanks and have a good day.